about now? Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness, this is great. Yeah. Oh man, what a headache. This is such a headache. That probably explains it. I'm not even sure that the music was actually even playing on the stream either. So there's that. That's fine. That's fine. It's all fine. We're here. Thank you everybody for showing up. As you can tell, this is a very, very, very professional broadcast here. We do things, with a devil may care attitude, which sometimes shows up. I am Rob Phantom NJ, and this is the TTRPG Theater. And yeah, it's been a day. It's been a week. This week has been a good year or a bad year, depending on how you want to look at it, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, first of all, I want to say that thank you all for being here. We do have a raffle going on for a Troller Games $10 digital product giveaway. Troller Games are a wonderful sponsor of this channel, and they want to congratulate the people there for a fantastic Kickstarter. The CNC, Castle and Crusades Reforged. So it's not going to be called Reforged after the fact. It was just for the purpose of the Kickstarter, where they are releasing the 3 core books with all of the OGL stuff removed. I've had my thoughts on it. Eventually I ended up backing the Kickstarter. I wasn't sure I was going to. However, they have managed to, smash through all of the add-on things, all of the bonus stuff, and so including having hit the thing for Foundry support, Foundry VTT support. So I was like, all right, let's do this. Eventually, all the stuff is going to be brought out in the non-OGL format. For someone like me who has all of these books, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it is what it is. And probably at some point that's be the way. I don't see myself switching to it anytime soon. Mostly because the players I have are all, for the most part, they have the old book, and that's what they're used to. I'll have to figure out. Yes, actually, let me check that, Lucios. I believe you did. I saw that I had 2 people already in. Yes, you are entered. Yes. So beyond that, by the way, and I had already given a shout out to Lord Kazumba. I will be on Lord Kazumba's stream on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Playing some old school AD&D, and this will be I will be playing the grandfather of my current character in the campaign. My current character is Durgrim Flintblade. I will be playing his grandfather, Galrim Flintblade, who is a priest of Clangeddon. So that's going to be fun. I'm really, really looking forward to that. This is an adventure that takes place in the past, as my understanding of it. So it's going to be pretty damn cool. Looking forward to playing with the group. Amp Wickman, Chad, it is good to see you. 14 hours into the 24-hour stream, which means we will be in prime Torture J time. Prime Torture J time. Yeah, okay. A little bit of poetry there. I'm doing well now that I've got my audio issues figured out. It's a lot of fun when you're looking at the mixer within with the mixer within OBS, and it's telling you you've got audio. No, I am not playing Buck Rogers. Oh boy. So what are we talking about tonight? Let's get on to. Oh, and by the way, Saturday. This has been a nutty week. I got home. I had gone to visit family this week. Last week, and I went to see my brother and the kids, and I drove home on Monday. I was supposed to have a game on Monday night. That game ended up getting canceled. I had a session 0 on Tuesday night for a, new Vason podcast, which will be coming out soon. And then on last night was supposed to be the first session of the restart of our Dragonbane campaign. That ended up getting canceled because we're trying to get everybody there for the first game, and we're always having one person for some reason at the last minute not be able to make it. Uh, so that was supposed to have a game last night. That didn't quite happen. Tonight had stream, and it took a while to figure out, one, remember that I said I was going to be streaming today, and two, figure out what I wanted to talk. And then having this whole giant issue intro where no one could hear me because, well, I was not streaming to the I didn't have the right audio channel set up. Uh, Tomorrow night, I believe I've now have the thing set up a timer. I have not seen the message pop yet. Oh yes, I have. We do now have a timer for Friday Night Crusades in our Discord. It is the ultimate kind of West Marches style game. It is very, very easy to enter, easy to play in. Siglin does a fantastic job of running the game for us. He's taken over for me over the last year. He took over, and it's been great. It is a create a character. We've got the rules in the Discord server. You basically you show up when you can, for however long you can. You don't worry about it if you can't be there. Just show up and roll some dice. Let's have some fun. We hand wave all the silliness. Don't feel like just because you can't get there on time that you can't play, or you have to leave early that you can't play. It's not true. So yeah, if you want, join Discord if you're not already there, and check it out. You're also welcome to listen in if you want to. We just ask that you keep your microphone muted while the gameplay is going on. And there's that. Let's see what else is there. Yeah. Oh, and so Sunday I've got kind of a double header coming. I will be playing on the Troller Game stream at 11 Eastern till, well, I'm going to be logging off at about 1:40 Eastern because at 2 p.m. Eastern, I've got a session that I'm running, and it's a game that I agreed to run like a week or so before I went on vacation, and I still have to figure out exactly what I'm doing with this group. It's the group that's gone more than any of the other groups that I have so far in the Embers of Empire campaign. I have some stuff that I need to create for them that from an adventure that they had previously done. And yeah, I have to figure out where I'm sending them next or what they're doing next. I have some ideas, but I'd be lying if I said that I actually had the advertisements because it's been, have I mentioned this week has been like a year? This month has been like a decade. It's been a busy time. Oof. So tonight's topic. Let's get to tonight's topic: modules, adventure paths, and the social contract. For those of you who are old school gamers, and most of the people, maybe all the people that are currently chatting, I can't speak to those who might be lurking. Um, you know, are or of the era where we had adventure modules. We had, they were maybe 25, 30 pages, probably about 30 pages on the long end. They were usually good for two or three, leveling, 2 or 3 levels, possibly depending on, depending on how much of the adventure the party completed, how generous the DM was, how DM figured out experience points. And there was like, there'd be almost was like a total levels thing because there would be like, or would be say 4 to 6 characters of levels 5 to 7. So you kind of figured out that, yeah, it's somewhere around 30 levels or so of characters should be good for this. Going with the averages of all those. And it was one of the things where, you knew you were going to be there for a while, and some were meant, some were potentially meant to be done depending on how long your sessions were, maybe 2 sessions. I mean, there are some that are made for 1 session. Those are usually kind of introductory adventures. But for the most part, they were probably good for, you know, 4 to 8 hours of gameplay. Obviously, if your party is the kind that likes to wander around a bit and or take their time, or just generally not necessarily focused all the time, take longer. You know, but the general idea was somewhere between like 4 to 8 hours of gameplay. Maybe 4 to 6 hours is probably closer on the mark. What the intention was. What happens in reality is a completely different. Uh, the also idea was, for the most part, these were self-contained adventures. Uh, that's not to say that there weren't sequels. Well, yeah, because they have a DM who insists on having the door trapped every time the party doesn't check for traps. You know, sometimes there is a cause and effect there, Sigil, and I see what you're putting down. Oh man, yeah. So you get that where uh, you know, it was kind of the idea was, this was it was an adventure. I mean, and that's not to say that these adventures weren't deep. They had some of them had a lot of them had really really good storylines. There were hopefully there'd be interesting monsters, and the better ones had, if a dungeon, or had an ecology to it that made sense thematically. Sometimes some of them could be really 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 random. Whether you enjoyed that or not was up to what you needed an adventure in terms of immersions. Yeah, there's that also. Rolling ones while checking when checking. Uh but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where you ran the adventure, you played in the adventure, and you could be done with it if you want. Some adventures were rather sandboxish. Uh, you know, Village of Hamlet is really kind of a sandbox. I mean, ultimately, Village of Hamlet, the general assumption, if you're playing just Village of Hamlet by itself, T1 by itself, the idea was eventually you were going to get to the moat house and clear out the moat house. But there wasn't a rush. It was, you could spend a lot of time doing many things in Hamlet, and it made for a great base of operations for a party if they wanted to, because there was a lot of stuff nearby. Um, but it really left it kind of up to the party to go and do the things. There were people to talk to. There were, there were things. Some adventures could be a little bit more direct. You got there, and I can think of one that I actually enjoyed. It was UK7 Dark Clouds Gather, and that's an adventure that um you know it's not really really much of a sandbox. There is, the party shows up in a certain location, a certain thing happens, and away we go. It kind of, the party should hopefully intervene, as long as they're a good party, should hopefully intervene, and that leads to the greater adventure. And you have a very specific goal in mind, almost pretty much from the get go, and that's fine. Um, but again, once you were done with that adventure, you were, I mean, unless the DM decided to go and make something of it and keep it as something that, things, places, and stuff that reoccur, you could be done with that adventure. You could be just done. Um, we also did have adventures that kind of fed one into the other. Um, Now they kind of a precursor to the adventure path, sort of maybe. Um, the first one that strikes me is Temple of Elemental Evil because it's T1 through 4, though T1 is is the only published module that stood alone. And then you had Temple of Element, the Greater Temple of Elemental Evil. And there was some talk as to what T2, 3, and 4 actually are. Um, there's an intermediate village in between. Really, I mean, it's still very sandboxish. You have you have the temple looming, and it's a known thing almost from the beginning because of the significance of the area, the history of the area. Which, if the party understands the history of Hamlet and the surrounding area, they know what's gone on here. They know about the Battle of Emeraldy Meadows, which took place. I think it's 8 year based on the module dates. I believe it's like 8 years beforehand. Um, might be 7 years. I think it's 7 years. I think it's 569 to 576. Um, I could also be misremembering when Temple of Elemental Evil is supposed to take place. Um, so you have this, you have kind of sort of an adventure. But still, the idea is the temple is there. Uh, the party may decide that they're not up for taking on the temple. Party may decide that they eventually want to take on the temple. They feel that they're nowhere near ready yet. So you still have again the village of Hamlet as a sandbox, and you can do other things in the meantime. Um, then you had the slave lords modules, which I will admit it has been a long time since I've looked at them. I don't remember whether one just goes right into the other like immediately, um, or it's kind of at your leisure take on the next one. Jeff, maybe you can help me out on that one because I know you've had a bigger interest in it than me. You also had G1 through 3, the Hill Giant modules. You had the okay, yeah. So it's kind of they're kind instead of an actual adventure path, it's more like a recurring villain type thing. If you decided to go that way, right? Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. Um, but again, it wasn't like this was necessarily all your character. So then I think it's with third edition really is when they hit on the true adventure path. Second edition, they did a couple more that were tight adventure pathish, I guess. You had the Falcon trilogy that took place in took place around the city of Greyhawk. You know, there was the two modules that kind of kicked off the Greyhawk Wars. I believe they kicked off Howl from the North, and I forgot what the second one is. Howl from the North might have been the second. But at the same time, um, they were Falcon series was a little bit more adventure paths because it was an immediate threat, and it's kind of like a story that took three modules to run it. Then you got into the age of true adventure paths where they were released as adventure paths, and these are stories, and really now, uh, I think adventure path is more Paizo lingo at this point. Really, I mean, you had the Paizo Hawk stuff back in the third edition days, but I think now, even now, they are not. I think it's more referring to the stuff for Pathfinder 2E, um, where you have an adventure that is by design is meant to take you from X level to X level. Uh, some of them start off at level 1 and go through level 10. Some of them go from level 1 to level 20. Some go from level 11 to level 20. And this is the adventure. This is what especially the ones that go from like 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. This is who your character is. This is what they're going to be known for. This is the adventure. Which is in some ways there's benefits and consequences to that. Let's talk about the benefits. One, yeah, it's true. The 5e publications, they do the same thing as Paizo does. It is a full. They're going with the campaign term for it because, as we've discussed in earlier things, campaigns have taken a very, very different meaning now. The use of the word campaign is different than what it was back when we were kids. Now a campaign is really a self-contained adventure. Where it used to be, as long as you were playing with the same group of characters in the same world with the same players, and the characters could maybe probably switch out. Like Jay's campaign is a good idea. A good example of that. Now it's more of one full story. However long that story is considered a campaign. And you get where it's like level 1 through whatever. And this is your character. This is what your characters does. This is what they're for. Now there are benefits to this. One, it's, if you have a story that you like or a story that you find really interesting, an adventure that you find really interesting, and here's the thing, it should be interesting not just to the DM. You have to. I played in a few, and the more I look at it, the more I realize you kind of need the player buy-in for this, and it's not just because we talk about player agency and such, because there's a commitment here. You're saying that this character that I'm creating is going to be playing in this one adventure, and it's probably going to be the only, unless you do like like I said, Paizo has 1 through 10, 11 through 20. And there might be some 5e ones that do the same thing. It's probably going to be the only adventure your character ever plays in. It's just the thing. I've got a gunslinger and a Pathfinder 2e campaign. Did 1 through 10. I think they were level 11 by the time the finale was done. That character's done. So if you have a character idea, something that you want to play, and you've got a published adventure, from the last 10 years or so, it's very possibly going to be the only adventure that your characters have to. You might decide to come back for a one shot or something at high, if DMs want to do a high level thing or whatever. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but there's a better than even chance that you're going to have this character or this one adventure path, one campaign. That's going to be it. So, again, the benefits of it is, what the adventure is going to be. Hopefully the game master and the players are all equally enthused about the adventure. The game master should be doing a bit of selling as to the story, and make sure that is something that you want to do. Because beyond the fact that this is what your character is, for however long, or basically this is what your character is going to be, and this is what they're doing, this is what they're going to be known for. There's a time commitment there. There is, used to be that we had modules that even for the slowest party, a single module, as long as you were playing for 3 hours in a session, even the longer modules, and I'm not talking the 1 through 4, I'm just talking single self-contained modules, really shouldn't take you more than 4 sessions to complete. So, if you're playing once a week, that was what, a month commitment? Not bad. There's and eat to surf. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that too because that's a really really good point. I want to touch on that later. Um, the but yeah, you need that bind because again, it's a benefit in that one of the benefits is you know what you're going to be playing. You've got a group that hopefully is equally excited about playing it, and the game master's excited about running it. So you've got that buy-in, and it also, for both the purposes of the party as well as the DM, once you're done, you move on to something new. You've got something new to try. So if you're one of those people who likes to try out different classes, different things, and if you're a DM, you want to try out different published adventures, and different camp and such, you've got that opportunity. That opportunity is there for you. As far as consequences, the consequences are if it comes out that you're suddenly in the middle of that adventure and you're not having fun, that's rough. If you're one of the players, it's rough. If you're a DM who's struggling to get through that adventure, that's even rougher. I've been on the wrong side as far as a player. I've been on the wrong side of a couple of those, and I ended up having to withdraw because I just realized that this adventure is not for me. Um, it ticked all. It sounded like an interesting. It sounded like an interesting adventure. I was fond of the people that I was playing with initially, and I got partway through the adventure, and I realized that I really just am not enjoying this adventure at all, which really sucks. Because you get to that point and you realize that you spent all this time, you're not going to get that payoff of completing it, and now you got to go find something else to do. And now suddenly you've got a group that, assuming that they're able to continue without you, is going to be busy for however long, and well, you're going to have to find something else to do with yourself. Now, these days, for me anyway, it's not as bad because there are other people. I've on playing online. If I was in person, that would really really suck. Being online for it, there are other people I can play with. I've been trying to keep myself out of playing more campaigns and getting into like shorter run adventures and such, just so I don't completely get myself overworked. I'm not sure I'm doing a great job of it, but it is what it is. So, you have, and I don't want to say it like I said, I don't want to make it sound like adventure paths are a bad thing. There are so I'm really honestly I'm enjoying the Paizo adventure paths. It's still weird for me to think that I'm done with my gunslinger. It's literally the first adventures path that I've ever completed successfully, and really a named adventure path. I've run some of the modules that had a ongoing storyline, but as a player, this is the first time I've gone through a full published adventure path from beginning to end, and uh, it's a very very different. One of the things that kind of threw me is the fact that I'm went through one from level 1 through level 10, and it didn't feel like my character was there for very. Granted, it was a streamed campaign, streamed thing. We were actually running for quite a while, but it's I think we were still only running for about a year, playing once a week, with some time off in there. So, um, sure, okay. Except I missed a whole bunch of sessions in there, Jeff. I get what you're going for there, but I did miss a bunch of sessions, and enough sessions where I'm still a little lost at times with that. So let's talk about the social contract. Actually, first, when we talk about social contract, one of the things I want to talk, one thing I want to bring up, I do want to touch on what Eat to Surf mentioned. That's about having put published modules into their homebrew world, which allows an out if the game doesn't bind to the. Yeah, it's a great thing. I am a big fan. Those of you who know me know well enough that I like doing sandbox homebrew adventures. Um, because it seems like nowadays every time I try running a published adventure, I get myself in trouble. So there's that. Uh, but I like, being able to take those old adventures, especially, and just picking it and putting it somewhere in the world. Now, granted, most of my homebrew, my old school adventures are in the world of Greyhawk already. I'm running games in the world of Greyhawk, so I have to kind of convert to Castle and Crusades. But you know, an adventure like White Plume Mountain is fantastic. White Plume Mountain is literally one of those adventures that can be run about 6 hours, maybe shorter if your party is a very get to it, waste no time type thing. Uh, call it 6 to 8 hours or so on the outside for White Plume Mountain. It's a very self-contained adventure that you could, while White Plume Mountain, exists in the world of Greyhawk, you could throw that anywhere. I mean, it's a mountain. You can just have a White Plume Mountain in your campaign wherever you want it. It's got a neat hook. It's got interesting monsters in it. It's got a bunch of interesting stuff to it. But again, you can throw that in your homebrew world. I've run that adventure in four different rule sets. I ran it as a first edition adventure. I ran it as a second edition adventure. I ran it as a fifth edition adventure, and I ran it as a Castle Crusade adventure. Fifth edition, I ran it in what was otherwise a completely homebrew campaign. I had certain story beats and different acts that mark the beginning and end of an act, and I used it as an interlude in between a couple of acts, something for the party to do while I was prepping for the next section. Yeah, I did. There is you have the A series, the Slave Lord series for Greyhawk, but there is the A series. It's known really the Offstrag series or Aired series, or from Trollord Games, where I think we did A0. I think we got at least through A2, if not A3. Um, and that one was partially on me, in terms of why we ended up switching. One, there are things I was not prepared for. It was the first time I was running any of their published adventures. It was cool though. We had some fun. That one is if you could do that entire thing, and it is a massive storyline. I think there are 19 modules or 19 adventures currently in the storyline, and there are still more coming because they're adding more levels to the dungeons of Offstrag. It's I I would love to do that again sometime. I would like to do that again, after I've had time to read the adventures thoroughly and figure out how best to make it so that I don't feel like I'm starting over when I go to the next one, even though they are all taking place in the same general vicinity. Um, and basically, I want to be able to make it a more cohesive adventure where it really feels like you are in that area of Aird. You are interacting with all the different stuff there. Competition modules are, yeah, they're also easy to drop in. The only problem with competition modules, you have to be careful with those. Um, some of them, yeah, you're right that they drop in. Some of them need a close look before you run them, and the main being because competition modules are normally, a lot of them were, it was who could progress the farthest, and in some cases who could survive the longest. Tomb of Horrors is primo example. Tomb of Horrors, unless you really hate your players, and why are you running games if you really hate your players? Don't run Tomb of Horrors as a campaign adventure. Just don't. Not as written. not unless you're heavily going to revise it, because that module is a 100% pure meat grinder. It's meant to be a meat grinder. It is meant. It is basically there. There is only there's a claim to fame that Rob Kuntz had, and that his character up and for as far as back in the days when Gary Gygax was running the adventure for others, was the only character. His character Robilar was the only one to survive the Tomb of Horrors. These are people who created the game, and only one of them had been able to come up with a character that managed to survive the Tomb of Horrors. You don't do that to don't do that to your party. If you want to do it as basically as kind of like a dream sequence one shot type thing, where there are no real stakes, and you do it as a night off. Let's have some fun and see if any of us would have gotten through. Sure, but do not do that as part of the campaign. I'm begging, because it's just a really crappy thing to do. It's not a flex being able to kill all your character, TPK your characters. You can do that literally anytime you want. Yeah, Tomokhan's another one. That one makes for a good dream sequence. I really have to go back, and it's been a long time since I've looked at it. I do have the original. I don't know that I'm not entirely sure that I've run that since first edition. But yeah, you can drop these things in. The Temple of Tharizdun is another one. That one can go from okay to really deadly really quickly, as a lot of those old school ones were. But that one can be combined to a quote unquote mini adventure path. But you could also run it as a standalone. Yeah, I mean these adventures. So let's get back to the social contract. Now, I mentioned social contract in the sense of the adventure path, and there definitely is there's the need to make sure that everyone's on board with this before you get started. Everyone's on board with an understanding of that this is going to be what we're going to be playing for quite some time, because you're going to be going from level X to level Y, whatever those levels may be. And there may be a different leveling path for it, mostly because adventure paths are one of the few places where I think milestones work. You need to be X level to really have a good shot at completing this particular part of the story. So you can use milestones there. What level they need to be. Fine. And it's more based on the point of the story than basically than what the characters did. There's an assumption the characters have done enough at that point for a new level. But that's that's kind of getting off the beaten track here. This is true. Yeah, that exactly. Social contracts, it is a dynamic thing. A group's needs do ebb and flow. So let's talk about social contract with regards to adventure modules. I mentioned the fact that I very specifically brought up, two very different adventures on the spectrum. One is the Village of Hamlet. The other one was Darkclaw's Gather, but even Darkclaw's Gather or even White Plume Mountain both fall kind of on the same thing. As you know, I am not a fan of railroads. I dislike railroads heavily. That being said, there is one time where railroading of a sort does take place, and I think it's perfectly acceptable. That is when you're playing a published adventure. It's also one of the reasons I come up with, I have a struggle with I think I struggle with playing an adventure path at times, is because while I understand that this is the adventure and there is railroading, I think eventually it does start to wear me down, especially if I don't get invested in the story. If I'm invested in the story, it's okay. And as long as the choices, the things that I have to do make sense. When things stop making sense and when it becomes apparent that the writers haven't really given much thought to character motivation, I am looking at you, Storm King's Thunder. Uh, you run into that issue of railroading where it feels bad. When you're playing when you've decided that you're going to play a single module, again, anywhere between 4 and 8 hours. Oh yeah, no, I absolutely, I Storm King's Thunder, I abhor that module, that adventure. I think it's terrible. It may finally get good. I think the beginning is terrible. I think the middle of it, the expectation, it's just the not very often that I go reading an adventure, you know, that I've hated after the fact, but I kind of did because I needed to find out whether what the implementation versus what was written. And yeah, no, it's really poor as written. What they tell the characters to do makes their reasoning. It's like it was just kind of assumed that the characters are just going to go along with whatever, and it's like, dude, you're breaking even the illusion of not only you're breaking the illusion of choice, you're breaking immersion by having my character just do stupid things. You know, and there's that. There's give characters a reason. Let them come up with the reason why they need to go there. Take a look at what the choices that they have, and is there something that's more appealing to make them go where you need them to be? Because again, I think there is that social contract where this is the understanding that this is the adventure that you're playing, and eventually this is where it's going to go. Um, Dark clouds gather. The general assumption is there's an Aarakocra who's on trial, basically on trial for being a demon that the party comes across, and it or a witch or something is kind of really brutal. But the assumption is that you're there to the party is going to step in because they're good people. They're going to save the Aarakocra from the trial, and that's going to lead to a story as to why the Aarakocra is there in the first place, the things that have befallen their people, and the hope that the party is going to agree to help them. Is it a railroad? Yeah, kind of is. I mean, really, at that point, the assumption is that the party is going to go along with it, and as players, you know, you're kind of along for the ride. Now, I mean, it's up to the person running the game to make it feel interesting. You know, if you're reading it as if you're reading choices from a choose your own adventure type thing, it's going to sound boring. But with some role play, you can make it sound interesting. You can make it sound compelling. The key is making sure that the players are able to empathize with the person in trouble. Um, and such. And it shouldn't take all that much to convince the party to go along with it. Uh, you know, and I mean, I suppose there are points along the adventure where they could decide that this is what they want to do. But honestly, as long as the adventure itself is well written and the party feels like there is, this is pretty cool. We're seeing cool things. The setting's cool, and all that. There, you know, you want you would hope that they're going to be, they know what the adventure is. They know that in a module you're here for again, 4 and 8 hours for the most part. So maybe if you having two, 2 to 3 sessions, maybe four. If you have really short sessions, that's it. After that, you're doing something else. Um, there's more of that bind. There's that understanding that this is the adventure, as long as things aren't truly terrible, you're going to go along with it. And it's an easier sell for a short term adventure because of the fact that it's a short term adventure. It's as long as you have you trust the person running the game, or to not just be a death trap that they're just walking you into. It's something that's going to be interesting and fun for your character. It's going to be rewarding for your character. I mean, you want to play these adventures. You're hoping that there's going to be a tangible benefit to your characters afterwards. So, you're hoping that the treasure is good, which is kind of one of the things that I'll be honest with you. It's kind of one of the things I fell short on with when doing the Pathfinder 2e adventure path. I really didn't feel like we got enough treasure. It felt like we were like poor all the time, and that we just weren't finding enough stuff. And when all spells cast dancing lights. Yeah, it's good. I like that, Eat to Surf. If you thought you got on a cool thrill ride and it ends up being teacups, well, everyone will want to get off. Yeah, I mean, I find that problematic. I don't know. I like treasure. I like magic items. I like characters being able to find ways to spend gold to do things. When I hit level 10 and I realized that other than the leveling bit, my character, the only real high up power advantages my character got was mostly from leveling. And it just kind of was that which adventure path were you playing in Don's game? I forget. Jay, thank you for the lurk. We will be seeing you soon. Another shout out. Yeah, I do need more treasure though. I like giving treasure. I know it can make things a little wonky in terms of survivability. Because now the party is able to take on things that they wouldn't normally be able to take on, and they do have some survivability questions because they may be harder to hit, but if they do get hit, they're gonna be in trouble. So there's that a little trouble under Atari into abomination wall. There we go. Eat to Surf, thank you so much for dropping in. I will eventually be putting the stream up on YouTube, and I think this one I need to download so I can figure out at the part with the audio issues. Yeah, so there's that. But thank you so much for popping in. Actually, Eat to Surf, if you're still there, if you want to do a exclamation point ticket to enter the raffle, we do have the $10 digital product coupon giveaway from Trollord Games. So yeah, it's one of those things where I do want, like I said, I do want that a little bit more treasure. I do want my character to feel more powerful, and not just, I realize that with like 5e and Pathfinder 2e, they do get more abilities. There are more changes to the characters they level up, but it's not. I would have enjoyed it a lot more if there had been more cool stuff. And it didn't feel that way. It felt like putting the runes or whatever it is, those things are called, on our weapons and our armor was really the only cool. There was a couple pieces of treasure and a couple interesting things. Not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. Not for a full 10 levels worth of adventuring. Not for, and we were always poor. We had like almost no gold on us ever, which, we would have to buy like one rune thing for our weapon, and then we were done. And we'd have to wait like another 2 levels to do another one. Um, yep. Roger, you are entered. I can confirm that you are entered. Yeah, that's a problem with really tightly balanced systems, I guess. I mean, I do find it problematic. And it does. It's one of the reasons why I do enjoy the more old school feel to this. Asher, good to see you. We do have the giveaway going on! Exclamation point ticket. Um, I don't know. I'm the more I think about it, the more I'm glad I got away from running D&D 5e. Uh, Beyond my issues with the mechanics, um, and such. Yeah, yeah, I get that. Um, and even Pathfinder 2e, I need to cancel my Pathfinder subscription. I have too many books, and now that I'm not playing it, I'm not going to use them anytime soon. So I need to really stop that subscription. Yeah, yeah. But like I said, modules. I like the modules. I do think I need to take a look at see if there are more what I want to do in terms of like running more old school models. You know, I finally got, thanks to one of the giveaways on Jay's stream, I finally managed to get a copy of Ghost Tower of Inverness. It's one of the ones that I did not have. So there's that. Um, I need to look over some of the ones that I already had. One of these days, I do want to look into running the Lendor Isle series, both the ones that are published as well as ones that they've been working on since Len passed away. Um, oh boy. So, again, like I said, modules, adventure paths, they both have a bit of a social contract to them. It's easier. I will to this day prefer modules to adventure paths, just because of the the commitment, the way the commitment to it works. The fact that if you don't like what you're doing, it's less punitive if you decide to do something else. Um, and I'm more, because of the fact that I'm more of a homebrew person myself. The idea of being able to take a published adventure and kind of sort of give myself a break and throw it in there while I'm working on stuff, and you know, giving myself 3 or 4 sessions where we're running this adventure, and I can sort of relax and plan out more stuff for the campaign while still having an adventure that takes place as part of the campaign. Uh, Feels really cool. Adventure paths, there are benefits to them. I've said it before. The idea that you have a nice, tidy, this is a adventure on pretty much usually on a grand scale, some type of grand scale. How grand might be relative, but you know what you're going to be doing for the next however long. Hopefully, it's an adventure you're all excited about. That's the players and the whoever's running, whoever the GM is, and and you get to do something kind of epic, because they're normally, if they're written well, they should be better set up for the group that's running them, so that everything feels appropriately done, and they feel ready at the correct points in the adventure. Yeah, I'm normally giant sandboxes myself, so uh, you know, I in terms of running it, I mean, I guess the closest, yeah, I don't even really consider Temple of Elemental Evil an AP. I mean, I've never run a full on AP. The closest probably was the start of the the A series for forward games. That's and even then, there's still really self-contained modules within that all just happen to take place in the same area and impact the same group. So you can call it an adventure path of sorts, but it's not really meant that you have to do 1 through, or 0 through 18 as it. All right. Well, in any case, I can feel my voice my mouth and throat starting to go dry. So let us get on with the, well, first of all, I mean, we're going to be rating Lord Gazumba, but we do have the giveaway. So, I will give it another minute to, let's go till 7:32. For entering the giveaway. Siglin, I noticed that you haven't entered the giveaway yet. Feel free to. Right now, you all have a really, really good chance of winning. I've got 4 entries. All right. It is 7:32. Yeah. Well. Hey, listen, if you want to enter and then give it to Lee or to somebody else, that's perfectly okay. It's up to you what you want to do with them. I don't ask how they're used after the fact. All right, there we go. We've got 5 entries, and it is now 7:32. So going to close the giveaway. Draw a winner. That would have been, yeah, that would have worked if Pat had entered, but Keith, Roger. All right. I will get with you and send you that. Just a reminder that this Sunday we will be having a session. I will be streaming starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. It will be immediately following the Troll Lord game stream, which I will be playing. So that's going to be fun. And hopefully before the night is out, I will figure out what exactly I'm doing with this party. Asher, it's terrible. My mind has gone like completely blank. I've got like ideas that have been floating around and none of them will settle. Which is why I don't currently have an advertisement for you. Professional job grade here. So, all right. So let us set up the raid. And we will go to stream ending. There we go. Thank you to everyone who hung with us for the audio issues at the beginning. I really kind of need to make sure that I have that all figured out by Sunday. So, all right, we are ready to go. 8 viewers ready to raid. Raiding in 3, 2, 1. Get those emotes ready. See you on the flip side.